Hey everybody, and welcome to the first video tutorial of my art stash subscription box. So excited that you guys are going on this journey with me and supporting your local art studio. We're excited to be putting together these boxes. This is something that's been on my mind for a while now and kind of finally pulled the trigger and decided to go for it. So bear with me as I learn the best things to do and say, and it's only gonna get better from here, guys. So this month, your project is, if you haven't unboxed or picked up your box yet, you might not wanna watch this, I guess. Just depends on if you wanna be surprised or not. But I love this simple yet stunning project. So you have a plate in your box along with all of the glazes and the heart doilies to make this project. So simple, so fun, and if you haven't painted ceramics before, it's addicting. So get ready to go on a fun ride. I'm gonna show you how to get this, how to do this technique. It's called the paper masking technique. I already have a couple of samples that are plates and tiles. So I'm gonna do this cup that is a new product that we have. This is a travel mug that comes with a lid. Actually, I didn't order the lids now that I'm thinking about it because we were gonna use this kind of as a vase or something. But anyway, a lid can be ordered for this with this design. So it's very simple translation into any piece of pottery that we carry in the studio. So if you wanted to make a set or have a matching something or other with your plate that you got in your box, then you can definitely come on in and continue to do this technique. We are planning to keep doilies in stock in the studio. So I'm gonna scroll you down so that you guys can see what I'm doing here, okay? So the first step is to take your paintbrush, which is also included, and we've got to paint the colors first. So included in your box are, you got your purple, your very light purple, you got your orange, which is kind of a corally orange. I love this orange. And then of course your yellow, your jade, which is your greenish color here, and then your Caribbean, your blue, okay? So if you wanna leave any of those colors out, this is what they're gonna look like when they're fired, but they're gonna look very chalky and pastel when they go on. So I like to work where I don't even have to rinse out my brush or have minimal brush rinsing. So if you don't already have a water jar nearby and some paper towels, that's pretty much the only extra stuff that you're gonna need from home outside of your box. So if we start with, I think our blue, we can work our way through probably, or maybe even our purple, we can work our way through this way and not have to rinse our brush out because the colors will work really nice together. So I'm loading up my brush with a lot of paint, all right? I sent you a big fat brush so that you would use a lot of paint. Don't be stingy, and kind of swipe it on there and just like some random kind of brush strokes, all right? So I've got a kind of glob. Notice how I'm not like sitting and overworking it. I got most of the paint glaze off of my brush there. And we'll go to a different area, dip back in, and kind of do like a little section there. Just kind of, don't overthink it. Oop, right next to that one, whoops. Okay, all right, get up on the edges. We're gonna paint 100% of our piece. So we don't wanna leave any white space. Right now, obviously we have white space. So I'm gonna work all the paint off my brush, okay? So now I don't even have to rinse off my brush. I'm gonna dip into my blue. And I'm gonna kind of paint near my purple because I know these colors work very nicely together. So if the purple's still wet and it mixes a little bit, it's only gonna be good. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go into whatever beside. Okay, and again, I'm gonna paint until I run out of paint off my brush so that my brush, I call this a semi-clean brush. And then you can kind of give it a little wipe on your paper towel if you want. And then I'm gonna go to my green. And again, working on the edge of those colors that I've already done, because if I pick a little bit of it up while it's still wet, it's gonna be fine. Let's put a little bit right there, maybe down there. Okay. Semi-clean brush again, and now we're gonna go to yellow, which is fine because this was green. So yellow and green are only gonna make kind of a different color green. So I'm gonna kind of touch there. My purple is dry enough, so kind of over where it's overlapping, it's not gonna make brown like it normally would. So I'm just adding some yellow. Let's do it right down in there. And I am overlapping some of my colors. I want that to happen. Ooh, that was dripping down. Getting messy. All right, so now I'm gonna go with my last color, my orange, and I'm gonna fill in all the rest of my white. And if you find any areas that you know, like, oh, this is too much of this orange, you can go back with your other colors if you need to. Notice I'm being very liberal with my amount of glaze that I'm doing. Okay. Just gonna go back through, check I've got it all covered. And I do. Okay. So if you still have a lot of paint on your brush, you can rinse it off at this point. We want to give this a second maybe to dry. It's not, it's dry when it's not shiny anymore. So you can see there's a little bit of shine to it. So if you just give it a second, it should dry pretty quickly. The bisque is really going to soak up that glaze. If you want to, you can hit it with a blow dryer. Like I said, very quickly, only that orange and maybe a little bit of the yellow where it was a little thick is wet. So I'm gonna go ahead and start back with my purple. We wanna get 2 layers, especially of the purple. It's a very light color. So just 1 coat is gonna be kind of not very saturated in pigment and color. So I am doing a 2nd coat over everything. Okay. Going in the same order. I'm splattering paint everywhere. Okay. Now some green. This is so fun. I like when it blends. I like to work quickly so that you get stuff like that. All right, and then I'm wiping off, just wiping off any paint that's still wet on my brush before I move on. I love when the orange and the yellow mix and make a lighter orange like this right here. You can see where it blended a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of try to encourage some of that where some of this is still wet. Don't over blend. This might have gotten a little muddy right there. I don't know, we'll have to see what it looks like when it comes out of the kiln. Okay, and then let's see. I am going to, first of all, I need to lay this down so that I can take a picture for you guys for our written instructions. So I'm gonna do that. And then, it's good to have already kind of, before you painted, planned out where on your plate you want to put the doilies, okay? So the cool thing about this project as well is that if you're not really into hearts, if it's a little too girly for you, then you can really print out any shape. Just kind of Google clip art dinosaur or clip art bunnies, and you could make this into a Easter bunny project where you have one big Easter bunny in the center or multiple little bunnies across. You just, any printer paper, the thinner the better really, will work. So you just print it out, cut it out into whatever shape you want to mask with, and have some idea of your plan of where you want to put it on your plate. So I think I'm going to do just small hearts here. And so the next step after you are finished painting and you don't have to dry it, this next step is to take your water and your brush, and we are actually going to paint our doilies or your whatever paper with water, okay? So you're just taking your brush and just, if you just lay it flat on your table, if you don't mind getting your table wet. The glaze, the good news is the wet glaze, if you get it on your clothes or on your table, it's gonna wipe right off with just a wet rag. The cleanup is super easy. And so we want it really wet, all right, saturated all the way through. This is gonna help it adhere to the piece and block off the color, so that the color will be protected, okay? So on your plate, y'all would be just doing this flat, but you can see it's working just as well on my round surface. So you could create a whole set of whatever you wanted to. So once you can get it saturated, you're just going around your plate. The glaze can still be wet. If you have big areas where it's like really thick and wet still, mine's pushing through the doily a little bit. I'm not really sure if that's gonna be a big issue or not. I think I'm gonna do one more right in here, maybe coming off the top. We do need to dry it after this stage. We don't want any of you don't want the doily to dry necessarily. In fact, the doily drying can kind of cause some issues with it like kind of pulling back up. So, but you want the glaze that you're painting over with the black to be really nice and dry so that you get sharp lines, okay? So, okay. All right, so see how it's really good and stuck down. You've got a good seal, nothing's like kind of peeling up, like see this area right there? See how it's kind of peeling up? You're gonna get some, just like painter's tape. If you don't press down really good and make sure that everything's nice and flat, you might get some bleeding underneath your holes here, okay? So you wanna make sure, kind of take your finger and just tap everything down on the edges and in the center too, to make sure that everything is nice and sealed. And then see how this is still wet? We want to make sure this is where you want to aim your blow dryer at this point and make sure that this is all, I'm just flattening out some of my glaze right here because I'm a really thick painter. So honestly, I probably got too much going on right there. And so I'm gonna just go blast this with the blow dryer for a second to dry these areas. I'm not gonna hit the doilies with the blow dryer because I don't want them to dry. I'll be right back. All right. So once I don't really have a sheen on my glaze anymore, okay, then I'm going to take my black glaze, which I forgot to pour me some. And my clean brush that has no water in it. Don't water down your glaze. And I know this is scary, but we're gonna actually paint right over everything. I am a messy painter. Are y'all? I guess since I'm not doing this as a Facebook Live, I could have some music going for us in the background. Or maybe that might compete with y'all's music. Do y'all create with music on? This is a fun project for kids to help with because it's so easy. We did this in our kids club Friday class that we started, and the kids loved it. They were so amazed and so scared to paint the black. But then when we pulled off the hearts, oh, they just gasped. It was so fun to hear their reaction. I'll let the boys do dinosaurs if they wanted. This would be a great one to do like a galaxy pattern with if you're into space. You could just cut out some circles. And then you could actually, this is a really fun technique to do sgraffito into. If you don't know what sgraffito is, it's where you carve back into the glaze. I wish I have a very good sample of it in the kiln. I'll have to post a picture in the group. So after you paint, we want to paint the black twice. Nicked the black with the blow dryer. Don't worry. I'll go right back over it. Let me take a picture of us painting the black so I can post that. Okay. So one more coat just to make sure that all that color is covered up, because that's what really makes your hearts pop when you have it good and covered. Paint the bottom. A lot of people remember from like their high school art class not to paint the bottom of their ceramic pieces. And that's true if you are using a certain type of clay or clay body that we don't use here in the studio. So we actually stilt our pieces, which means we use a little small metal thing that holds the piece up off the shelf. And so you can paint the bottom, and actually you have to paint the bottom. If you don't, then we do with the clear glaze. And so now is the moment of truth. Oh, it's really wet. So if you wanted to blow dry before you did this, you can. If you're hard-headed like me, you just go for it. Yay! This is where it's good to have like some kind of hanging off the edge because you can tell where to grab it. I might need to blow dry. These are acting soggier than the last ones that I've done. I don't know if I use more glaze or what. Maybe my other ones didn't rip like this. Messy, messy. other one does. Oh, yeah. So if you have one that's completely on your sheet of paper, on your plate, you can take like just a regular kind of safety pin or straight pin and just kind of try to grab it. I'm gonna have to blow dry. Give me 1 second. Helped. All right, see where it's getting a little bit lighter? That's how you can tell it's drying. That's not a sign that you did something wrong or didn't use enough paint. This is still wet. Okay. So at this point, if this is happening to you guys, like it's happening to me, you could actually just completely leave this guy alone and let it dry a little bit more, so that the doily kind of firms back up. Man, this really didn't happen in maybe because I'm trying to do it so fast. The tutorial. All my other hearts came off in one piece. Kind of ruins the reveal when you have to do it in so many little pieces. All right. Woo. Okay. There we go. Yay! Okay, so see how I have all this black over here on this one? I'll show you the sgraffito technique because this is kind of a perfect little spot for it right there. I'm gonna dry just a little bit more because it's still a little shiny. But I don't want it too dry because you're not going to be able to scratch back into it if you have it too dry. If you want to do the sgraffito technique. So I'm looking for my tool. Really, you can use anything. If you use just a regular pencil, you want it to be a pretty sharp pencil. You don't want a dull one. You want anything that you use to be pretty sharp, okay? And I'm going to just scratch my name. You could scratch anything. You don't want to bear down too hard because our goal is to actually just scratch through the black and let the color show through. So see, it's peeling right away. To the color. S's are always so hard for me to make bubble letters. I don't know why I always jack them up. Didn't leave myself enough room either. Hilarious. Playing a little bit better than I did. And all of that stuff, you can wait for it to dry because if you push it too hard, it will like smear back down. And if you want to totally remove the black, I'm just kind of turning my tool, my pencil, very fancy tool, sideways and just grabbing more of that black. So there's like a perfect time to do this kind of sgraffito, and it's when the glaze is firm, like it's set, but it's not completely dry. You should not be creating a powder. That's not good to breathe. And don't press too hard because you'll take away the color as well, which will still be pretty, but not as pretty as seeing all these beautiful colors come through. And if you get a little bit of graphite on your piece, don't worry, because that will burn right away in the kiln. So you might see it, but it's gonna burn away. And then, so let that black dry a little bit, and then you can kind of just brush it like this over a trash can. And you can see any areas that you still might want to clean up a little bit more. Keep your tool clean too, because your glaze might stick to that. And so, now you learned 2 techniques this month. Wasn't even planning on that, but it just kind of worked out. Fun. And there you have it. And then you can paint the inside of your mug one of your bright colors that maybe you have a little bit more left of. Or you can just leave it unpainted, and we will put a clear glaze on this, fire it in the kiln, and it will be ready about a week after you drop it off with us to fire. And you can actually eat and drink off of your fired ware. So thanks again for watching the tutorial, and let us know if you have any questions at all about this project. Post videos, photos of you guys creating along with the video, and then post pictures of when you come pick it up. Use the hashtag #MyStacheArt, hashtag #MyStacheArt, and so that way we can click that hashtag and see all of the art that you guys have created in the group. So let me know if you have any questions, and hope to see you creating soon. Bye.